Hi again. In a previous video, I talked about these ridiculous charges against Senator Marco Rubio and how the left was basically making a big fuss about nothing. And I played you some clips from a segment Chris Matthews did on his program. What I didn't show you was, this is how he closed out the segment.
We return, let me finish with where we may be headed if the rich keep getting richer. The 1% is grabbing the 99% share. You're watching Hardball on MSNBC.
Wow. Grabbing the 99% share. That makes it sound like they're just taking money from people. Anyway, I'm not sure what he meant by that, but it gave me an idea for a segment I could do using some more of the footage I took while we were up in Washington, D.C. last month. One stop we made when we had some spare time was McPherson Square to check out the Occupy D.C. protests. Let's take a look at that. This is McPherson Square, where the Occupy Wall Street protesters have come to D.C. I guess unofficially this is known as Occupy D.C. There's not one of the problems. Hang on a second. This is one of my moot court teammates.
Oh, that's really cool.
Is that an Alpha X? Yeah. Beautiful. Very talented. I don't know why I tried to strike up a conversation with that person. I guess it's just my nature. You know, I looked around the park to see, I wonder if there's anyone here I could actually have an intelligent exchange of ideas with. But you got to be careful, though, because in these kind of gatherings, they attract a lot of weirdos. And you certainly don't want to get stuck talking to someone and find out, oh my God, this person's life is so sad. Anyway, back to the point of this video. Look, this whole Occupy movement, it's really, if not fueled, then it's certainly being, what's that word in chemistry? A catalyst. It's being aggravated, let's say, by certain catalysts being dropped in there by pundits and other rabble-rousers who are really feeding people, I would say, stirring up feelings of resentment, envy, that sort of thing. And actually, we'll pick up on that a little bit later. Congressman Paul Ryan gave a really excellent speech last month, but what I wanted to talk to you about today was this whole business about the 1% and the 99%. You know, if you've been to any of these Occupy rallies, then you'll know sometimes they like to shout out, "We are the 99%." Well, I thought it was interesting. There was a lot of talk about a recent report by the CBO that came out last month, I think it was, and basically it showed certain income levels. Well, take a look at this clip. Oh my God, really? All right, take a look at this clip from the Rachel Maddow show.
The 20% of Americans who make the least money in the country have not had a great 30 years. Since the late 1970s, the poorest Americans have seen their overall income go up just this much, which is not much progress in the richest country on earth. And that's sort of the big picture here. Look, over the last 30 years, the more you need your income to rise, the less it rises, right? So that's the bottom 20%, the second 20%, the middle 20%, right? The smallest gains in income over the last 3 decades have been among those who most need a gain in income. The people who least need it are getting the biggest boost year after year. So if you want to know how the richest 1% of the country, the people who least need a pay raise in the country, how they've done over the last 30 years, we actually have to break that out separately because it distorts all these other numbers. Can we do that? Can we do that? Oh, yeah. Okay, whoa. That's just the top 1%. Income going like this, in general, that is already a problem because that means that poorer people are doing worse over time compared to richer people. And that's already a problem. That's already backwards. But this isn't just a problem. This is actually a whole new idea.
Okay, I have a few problems with your study there, Rachel. Actually, I don't have any problems with the study itself. I'm not gonna, for the purposes of this segment of this video, I'm not gonna contest any of the facts presented in that report. What I take issue with is your interpretation of it. First of all, perhaps this is the most important thing. That graph shows real after-tax income. Okay, so real after-tax income among, basically across all income groups, divided up by quintiles. But you'll notice that is the increase per group in real after-tax income, so adjusted for inflation. And what you'll notice is that all groups saw an increase in their real income. So all groups saw their incomes rise over the past 30 years. And it reminded me of something. I wish we had this footage. I can't show you the video, but you can find it out there on the internet somewhere, of Maggie Thatcher back during one of her question times as Prime Minister, which is something they do in the UK, where the Prime Minister goes before Parliament and members of Parliament get to ask him or her questions about stuff. And basically, somebody stood up and acknowledged, that while all groups, saw their incomes rise under her tenure, the top something saw a much larger increase. I forget what the exact numbers were, but basically it's the same thing you saw there. Everybody got richer, but those at the very top got way, way more richer than the rest. And, Thatcher, the Iron Lady, God bless her, she threw it right back in his face, and she was like, what a thing it is to say that is really the very essence of socialism, that you would rather have the poor poorer if it meant that the rich earned less. That's not what he said, but that's in effect what he meant. And it's really, there's no rebuttal from that. I mean, that is what he's saying. If he's saying that it is a bad thing, that it is a problem, that those at the very high end of the income ladder got much, they saw their incomes rise at a much, much faster level than everybody else, even though everyone got richer, then what you're in essence saying is that you would rather have those of lesser incomes, the middle and lower income individuals, have done worse if it meant that those at the high end had done equally poorly. That really is the essence of not just socialism, but it's kind of just something that the left wing believes. Now, you're rarely fortunate enough to draw an opponent who is so ham-handed and so inarticulate as to express that sentiment so clearly, to where you can just call them out on it, and it's so obvious. And yet, that is basically what Rachel Maddow has just done. By complaining that this is a problem, she is in effect acknowledging that she would rather those in the the lowest income quintile or whatever it is have done worse if it meant that the wealthy had not done as well. Okay, because otherwise she wouldn't be, pointing to this as some kind of a problem. But another issue I have with this is that, okay, well, you know what? Dick Morris actually explained it pretty well. Dick?
They divide the country into the top fifth, middle, and bottom fifth. And the liberal groups say the top fifth has gotten richer and the bottom fifth has dropped or stayed the same. But it's a new bottom fifth. They did a study in 1990 where they took the people that were in the bottom fifth and said, where were they 10 years later? Only 16% of them were still in the bottom fifth. 18% were in the top fifth.
Yeah,
and the
capitalism
rest were in
gives
between.
people the opportunity.
Individual upward mobility.
Absolutely.
The poor are getting poorer, but they're new poor.
Individual upward mobility. Where have I heard that before? That sounds so familiar. But if you do consider this income inequality a problem, or the wealth disparity a problem, then keep in mind that this is not as big of a problem, and it shouldn't be as big of an issue in this country as it is in other countries with comparable income and wealth levels, because in this country you have income mobility, and you have greater income mobility than in most other countries around the world. Right. Well, anywho, all right, let's go back to the Rachel Maddow thing.
Okay, graph time. It's actually get up and run to the big graph time. May I stand here? Okay. Ezra Klein made this. And this explains the whole big new idea in America. This is actually a map of the hole in the American dream. This is actually a map of the hole the American dream fell down, never to be heard from again. So this section here, okay? This section here, the late 1940s, around the end of World War II, okay? To the mid-1980s, to Ronald Reagan time. We got a lot of new economic policies starting Ronald Reagan time. That time, from about the end of World War II through to Ronald Reagan time, that is the American dream. This distance here, this is the American dream. Because this blue line is median income in America. And yeah, it wobbles a little bit, but it's basically going up. It is on a fairly steady climb. And this other line, this one, this line is the income growth of the top 1%, the richest people in the country. Now, their income from the end of World War II up until Reagan time is growing, but it is not growing as fast as the income of the rest of the country. And that's good, right?
Wait, now it's good if one group of citizens is not doing as well as the rest? I'm sorry, because it seems like she was just talking about how when one group of people is doing so much better than the rest of the country, that's a problem. And when the exact opposite is the case, then what did you call it?
This is actually a map of the hole in the American dream. This is actually a map of the hole the American dream fell down, never to be heard from again.
Okay, so it's the hole in the hole the American dream fell down, or whatever. Continue.
They're already doing great. They are the top 1%. They are already the richest people in the country. During the period that we can call the American dream, the richest 1% of the country is still rich, and in fact is getting richer over time. But they are not pulling away from the rest of the country. In fact, everybody is moving on up together. Yay for rich people, and yay for everybody else too. But then starting here, starting in the mid-1980s, starting in Reagan time, it flips around. And the people who are already the richest 1% of the country, they cross over and they take off running, getting richer way, way, way faster than everybody else, leaving everybody else behind.
But the first graph you showed us, the graph you just showed us, showed that everyone's income rose, that everyone was getting rich together too. In that graph that you just displayed, Rachel, incomes rose over that same period of time, the period of time covered by the graph. This is actually a third problem I have with this graph, and also the CBO report, as she explained it, was that these numbers only go up to 2007. I'd be very interested to learn how the top 1%, since you seem so intent on separating them out from the rest of the country, fared during the Great Recession. Because I noticed that on your second graph, the one made by that knucklehead Ezra Klein, their income seems a lot more volatile than the rest. But
This is new. The red line being on top of the blue line, this is new. This is a new thing in America. The American dream was anybody can make it. That is no longer the dream. If you already have made it, sure, you can make it to the stratosphere. But if you are not already up in that top 1%, you are not going anywhere. That is new.
I'm sorry, it's tough to listen to that sober. So let's review. When one class of Americans, first of all, let's take a look at what she's doing, and I guess Ezra Klein, since he made this graph. So I'm not even sure if this data is accurate. I mean, it was put together by Ezra Klein, for God's sake. But again, assuming for the purposes of this video that this data is all correct, what they're saying is we're going to separate out one group of persons from the rest of America and track their income, the change in their income over a period of time relative to the median income, the average, the national average. And what we're basically going to do is, what she's saying is that when that particular class of persons, when their income, when they're doing worse, when they're not doing as well as the median, the rest of the country, that's good. That's, in Rachel Maddow's words, the American dream. But when things change, and that particular group of persons is doing it, when they are doing better than the average, then that's bad. Or, yeah. So, I mean, you rarely get as clear-cut an example of class warfare as this. Actually, it's not that rare. In these days, it's becoming increasingly, I would say, ubiquitous. With all even our president is sowing social resentment and unrest and basically fanning the flames of the people occupying the different Wall Street, D.C., all over the country. And so it's not that uncommon, unfortunately, but there can be no doubt that this is class warfare. I mean, you're dividing people up based on class.
It is true that Americans are divided on the basis of class. The class division is between the top 1% and everybody else.
But who's drawing that division? You are. It's an arbitrary line that you're drawing. What is so significant about the first percentile? Why is it the top 1%? Why not the top 2%, the bottom 98%? Why don't we say the 50th percentile? Why don't we take the median and say, you know, this is how the top half is doing, this is how the bottom half is doing. Why 1% versus 99%? Look, slap whatever label you want on it. This is class warfare, plain and simple, and it's not good for our country. And I saw a lot of people who were down on their luck at McPherson Square. Some of them probably have genuine grievances. And I continue to believe that with most people who are suffering, it is the combination of, it is a result of some combination of circumstances beyond their control and the choices that they make. But in any event, I feel like I have no respect for people, politicians, pundits, or anyone who cynically tries to convince people that they are people who are hard up, that some rich person out there, or even worse, just the top 1% in general, is prospering at their expense. Not only is that not true, but it's a terrible thing to do to a person. To tell them, to someone who is suffering, to tell them that these people are living high off the hog at your expense. Again, to use Chris Matthews' phrase, that they're grabbing your share of the pie. Tomorrow I have something I want to do that I feel will illustrate this point. And so check that out. For today, let's just close things out with some more footage from McPherson Square. Okay, so there's a lot of tents here and a lot of different types of people. Homeless people, homeless veterans, Ron Paul supporter, veritable cacophony of, let's just say, thoughts. We actually got into a talk with a guy who's a lawyer. He went to NYU, and we told him we were up here for a moot court competition. Of course, I want to remind you all to check out my blog. I'm not even going to hype the website. Go to my blog, okay? Go there. Find an article you like or don't like and comment on it. I don't have a lot of time on my hands, people, so when I take the time to write a column and post it, then, I really appreciate all the views these videos have been getting and the comments that people have been leaving, but go to the blog. Go visit my blog and read the articles. Okay, well, until next time, don't mess with the right-wing genius.